Good morning, everyone. It's Pastor Tim Hammy. It is the 7th of March, and we're continuing on. We're going to try to complete this. The fact is, today we're going to talk about how not to work out your salvation. Don't do it this way. Number one, how not to work out your salvation. Luke 18, 9 through 14 says, "Do some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else." Jesus told this parable. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one of the Pharisees and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, "God, I thank you that I am not like the other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give a tenth of all I get." But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." I tell you this, that this man, rather than the other, went home and justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humble, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Number one, how can you not work out your salvation? By trying to impress God. He loves you just the way you are. Hey, look at me, God. Look at all the things I did. Woohoo! Big deal. By trying to impress people. How about number three, by trying to accomplish a dreadful duty? Well, I don't want to really do that. One of the things in the church that nobody really likes to do is clean the toilet. How humbling would that be to do that without grumbling? I remember a story a while back about this woman who was very wealthy, and she wanted to volunteer at a local hospital. So she went to the local hospital, and she had diamonds and pearls and dressed to the T and looked really good. And one morning she was there, and this nurse was pushing this woman around in the wheelchair, and this woman vomited all over the place, on the floor and everything. And this volunteer, this wealthy woman, seeing what happened, kneeled down on the floor and began to clean up the vomit. And this nurse, all crazy, all soured face, goes, "You couldn't pay me enough to do that." And the woman cleaning up the vomit says, "You couldn't pay me enough to do it either." And as she was saying that with her attitude, she was saying that you could not pay me enough to do this because I don't do it for you. I do it for my Lord. So sometimes when we do the things that we do, we should do it without grumbling or complaining. We should just do it for the Lord, honoring to Him. So don't try to impress God. Don't try to impress other people. Just do what God calls you to do. I'm going to conclude this with another video, and I want you to watch it, another testimony. All right, God bless you. Well, let me pray for you. Lord, I thank you so much. I pray that you bless every single person. I pray that you give them a great day in your name. Amen. I'll see you tomorrow.
When I was born, I was visually impaired, and I grew up in the church all my life in an Assemblies of God church. I was very involved in the church youth group and things like that. So I had the opportunity to go to Wake Forest University in North Carolina, and I felt pretty strong in my faith when I left. When I got out there, I didn't know anyone, and made the mistake of not getting plugged in with a church or a Christian group on campus right away. I'd gotten plugged in with these groups of friends that didn't have the same values as I did. I got caught up in the whole party scene with the drinking and the and girls and all that. There was no happiness. There was a lot of depression and things that I was dealing with because of that. There was no telling the difference between me and somebody else, who had not come from a Christian background. Well, the last semester of college, I studied in Spain, and it was probably one of the greatest opportunities for my life. But it was one of the biggest party semesters for me. It was probably the peak of living away from Him. I think I was home maybe 2 weeks, and I was sitting in the Sunday morning service, and I can't tell you what the pastor was talking about, but I remember just in the middle of service, God just kind of prodding my heart and being like, "Hey, what have you been doing? How have you been living? And who have you become?" And you know, and I didn't have an answer. I went home from that service and I spent time by myself in my room, you know, just repenting, asking for that forgiveness and asking for Him to take over my life. I guess I would just say that He's so ready to forgive. You know, like I experienced that so clearly. There's just such a joy knowing that the God who created you for a purpose, that you're in that purpose and you're on track for what He wants you to do and how He wants to use you.